So the rematch between Republican Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis and Democrat Max Rose is shaping up to be one of the most competitive New York races this election year. The 11th congressional district includes all of Staten Island as well as part of Southwest Brooklyn.
Max Rose is an Army combat veteran. He won the district in 2018, but his 2020 re-election race against Nicole Malliotakis in that district, well, it's leans conservative, right? Max Rose wants his seat back. Can he do it? Nice to have you back.
Not your seat. Not your seat.
Not my seat. Nicole Malliotakis' seat right now. So let's talk about what's important in your community, because it seems like crime is trending all over New York City. I mean, what would you do if you won the seat back?
It's a great question, and this is why people are so frustrated with politics, because common sense doesn't appear to be common anymore in our politics. We have to fund the police, get them the resources that they need. They need to get paid more because their pay is not commensurate with the incredible sacrifices that they're making each and every day. We've got to change this godforsaken bail law. Judicial discretion needs to happen. There's a culture of criminality and recidivism that's arising in this city, in this state right now. People are afraid at times to take the subway. But lastly, and this is what's particularly concerning to me, guns. So many of the weapons that are retrieved from gun crime incidents in New York City, they come from down south, where these lax gun laws in these Republican states where there's no universal background checks, assault weapons, and this and that. We need to ban we need to ban assault weapons in the United States of America. That's a weapon I carried in combat, has no place in this country. We need universal background checks so no criminal, no terrorist can buy a weapon. What is frightening to me, though, particularly on that latter point, my opponent, Nicole Malliotakis, she voted against universal background checks. She voted against the assault weapon ban. I don't get it. I don't understand who she's trying to represent, but it's extremist, and it only hurts our public safety.
All right, so let's talk about, you talk about funding the police. When we said you were coming on, we said, what would you ask Max Rose? And a lot of people think that you voted to defund the police, but you voted for the George Floyd Justice and Police Act, right? Mm-hmm. And you marched with people who had signs, defund the police. But at that point, you didn't believe in defund the police.
No, listen, I've never believed in defunding the police. And there's all these lies that are flowing around in our politics. It's one of the reasons why people are so disgusted right now. Look at my votes. Look at my actions. First of all, I'm the only person in this race who's ever put on a uniform. All right? I nearly lost my life in combat. More importantly, I watched other men and women in uniform who I was entrusted with leading nearly lose their lives after swearing an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution. I've constantly stood up to my own party when some of them came out for things like defunding. That's what we need. People who put public safety first, not their own party. Compare that, though, to Nicole Malliotakis, right? When Donald Trump says that he won the election, right, and catalyzes this riot that on Washington, D.C., that was disgraceful, resulted in 5 officers dying, hundreds of officers getting injured. She turns around and asks for his endorsement. It's always politics first with her, never actually public safety. That's why she voted against universal background checks. That's why she voted against banning assault weapons, weapons that are designed to shoot as many rounds as possible. And they're used all too often in mass shootings.
Yeah, but that's not our problem here in New York City. Let's face it, Max. I mean, our problem is we got ghost guns. I don't know what we have, but these people are not going to register for a gun license. They have illegal guns, and they're shooting up our city.
And I'm so happy you brought that up, because you're right. These guns are illegal, but where are they coming from? They're coming from down south. They're coming from all these states with these lax gun laws where you can literally have criminals buy a gun secondhand sale, straw purchasers, all the like. Ghost guns, an enormous problem. Why then, when there was a bipartisan gun reform bill, unprecedented, right, in the last 30 years, heck, Mitch McConnell voted for this thing to start to actually make progress on guns. Nicole voted against it.
Would you say that is her biggest weak spot? Because obviously you guys stand on two different sides of many of these issues. She is leading in the polls. But would you say that her stance on gun control is her biggest weak spot?
100%. 100%. It is every time that she votes on this issue of guns, right, on the side of extremist leadership in Washington, D.C., rather than on the side of people, it reveals what is a true fact about her, which is she cares more about advancing up the rungs of, the congressional ladder than actually about defending our public safety. It's disgraceful. These guns that are pouring into our city and have been so for so long, because you're right, people, they're not being sold here.
Yeah.
They're coming from down south. It puts us in danger.
Well, they're being sold on the streets of the city.
And that kind of takes us back to the biggest issues for voters here when you talk to people day in and day out. It is crime, it is economy. Where is your stance on that? Because, I mean, there's quite a few other issues as well, but those are the two biggest ones, and her stance on that may resonate with a lot of voters in the area.
So we have had an affordability crisis in the United States of America for so long, and it's particularly hitting us hard today. This is a global crisis, right? We just saw that news out of Britain today, over 10% inflation. So let's stop admiring the problem and let's talk about what we're going to do in the short term and then the long term.
What would you do?
That's what they taught me in the military. Short-term solution, long term. I'll tell you right now, the Fed, it has to get its act in order and continue to raise interest rates so as to tamp down the immediate inflationary crisis. But on the second hand, let's look at what is killing people. Oil, gas prices. We have to go after big oil that's price gouging at the pumps. We have to go after these refining companies that need to expand their production capacity as quickly as possible. We also need to look at the fact that pharmaceutical drug prices, healthcare prices are killing people. Let's actually start negotiating drug prices so we can bring the costs down. We all, in some way, shape, and form, come from a long line of small business people, right? That's the story of New Yorkers. What kind of idiotic business person would ever not negotiate when they have negotiating power? That's what the government is doing. That's why people on Medicare are getting stiffed with really high healthcare prices. The problem is, yet again, when Nicole Malliotakis was given the opportunity to vote to give the federal government the power to negotiate drug prices, she voted against it. All she wants is the country to fail, because it is her belief, and many other people in Washington, D.C. on the Republican side, that if the American people are in pain, it's to their electoral gain. That's why they're not providing any solutions. I never did that when Donald Trump was president. You realize how much trouble I get at the height of COVID? When I deployed with the National Guard, came back, and I said that if Donald Trump can beat COVID and he wins re-election, so be it. Because I wanted the country to do well, not a political party. I'm sick of it. I know your viewers are too. I know you are too.
I'm sick of it too. As you well know, and I need to bring it back.
Bring it back.
But today you have a debate coming up, right, with Nicole Malliotakis, but I don't think she's going to join you.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate, right? We had a debate scheduled on New York One, a long-standing tradition. Michael Grimm took part in it, and all the like, and she's ducking and hiding. And it's really unfortunate because.
But in response to that, though, you didn't show up to the Dyker Heights Civic Association debate as well, and you didn't show up in 2020 as well as 2018. Sure. So that would be her response to that.
And that's a ridiculous comparison, all right? What we're talking about here is a televised debate that's a long-standing tradition in the district that thousands and thousands of people are watching. It's one that she did previously, and she claimed that she didn't want to do it this time because the journalists were too tough on her, particularly in and around her vote to decertify the election. Think about this, right? I swore an oath, and every single soldier in the military swears an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution and our democracy. In her first few days in Congress, she said, I'm going to side with a lie because I think it will help my own personal politics, rather than be on the side of the Constitution. When she did that, she spit at on the graves of all those who have given their life for our country in defense of democracy and the Constitution. And she doesn't want to talk about that record.
All right, Max Rose, thank you for coming on Good Day
Thank
New
you
York.
for having me. It's good to see you.
We always like to spar a little bit. Hey, I heard you don't want to support President Biden for re-election.
Well, I don't think Donald Trump or Biden should run in 2024. We need a new generation of leadership in the House, too.
Any suggestions?
No suggestions right now. Although I think,
all right.
maybe you should run.
Oh, I should run. Very funny, Max Rose.
The Queen of New York to the Queen of America.
Thank you so
great,
much.
Wouldn't she?
I don't think so. On Friday, we're going to talk to the Republican congressional candidate, who's the Congresswoman now, Nicole Malliotakis. But this guy wants the seat back.
All right.
We'll see what happens.